Hi everybody, it's Connie here from the Lamb Shop and Wellness Center, and today happens to be Earth Day, and so I couldn't resist coming outside to show you a couple of things that you might want to be looking for. So first of all, here, buried amongst the leaves, I wanted to point out this plant to you. So this is mullein, M-U-L-L-E-I-N, and it has these furry leaves. These older leaves actually made it through the winter when they were covered up with snow, and they're still green. It's pretty amazing how hardy this plant is. But this isn't one you have to worry about harvesting right now, but I wanted to show you how it's peeking through the ground. And it has these large hairy leaves, and they will continue to grow, getting bigger and bigger as you see these larger sizes and even bigger than that. And it'll come out, it's a biennial. So the first year it has this rosette, which was from last year. The second year comes this new growth, and out will come a long spike the second year. And this spike might be 5 feet or possibly even taller, and it'll have these beautiful yellow flowers on the second year. The first year it just has this basal rosette that we call it. So this is mullein, and if you happen to come across this one, it's nice to see the stage that the plant is right now. And as I'm uncovering this, I also am discovering that we have creeping Charlie, the leaves coming out here as well. So I just wanted to get you to identify a few of these plants to start with. And you can see the creeping Charlie's leaves really probably were here all winter long as well, but the new growth is just starting to come out. And we'll talk a lot more about creeping Charlie as it gets a little further along. So the next plant that I ran across was catnip, and this is catnip creeping through as well, and this is a perennial. And you'll notice the dead stalks from last year, and they stay actually alive quite well, and the new growth is starting to come. And one of the ways you'll know it's catnip, take a leaf off, and it feels kind of soft and furry. Crush it or rub it between your fingers, and you'll have this strong, like musky scent, and you'll know that's catnip. That's all right. And this plant here is stinging nettle, and stinging nettle is perfect this time of year as it's just coming above the ground. Some people are a little leery to pick it, but I go right in. I picked that one a little low. Typically what you'd want to do is kind of pull off the top stems so that it can continue to regrow. And this, if you pick it at this stage, this is when it's really delicious for eating, for nettle soup, fresh nettle tea, or drying, or just as a side dish. It also contains a lot of medicinal qualities that you'll want to make a tincture out of. You can either do a tincture now or later in the season. But this is what you would do. You would just snap off the little nettle tops, and if you don't like doing it with your hands, you can use gloves or scissors, and you just go ahead and pick these, and when you have a nice large bunch together, then you can do something nice with it. One of the little tips that you'll notice in the spring is it has a little reddish tinge to it, and you won't see that later on. And that just means that it has a lot of nutrients. This is one of the most nutritious plants around. So here we have burdock creeping in, and it's just in the very, very beginning stages. It'll have a big, large leaf the further it gets along. And this one is at a little bit further stage. And then your dead giveaways that burdock is in the area is from your dried plant material where you've got the burdocks or the burrs. So that's burdock. This plant is called motherwort, and motherwort is an early season plant. This is the beginning stages of the perennial that you see, it has further stages. The later on in the season it'll grow up and the leaves will actually change a little bit and thin out, but that's motherwort. I can't see. Okay, this plant is garlic mustard. Garlic mustard is a wild edible, not so much a medicinal, but this is a perfect time of year to pick the leaves for garlic mustard. And one of my absolute favorite things to do with garlic mustard is to make a pesto. So delicious. This plant that's creeping out of the ground is called Sweet Cicely, and it likes a little bit of cover with trees kind of on the edge of forests. And if you taste the leaves of this plant, they have a licorice taste to them. And it'll get a lot bigger than this, but you'll notice the green is a little more lime colored green than the other plants. Here we have a lovely patch of bloodroot growing. Now, if you go into the wooded areas, you will find this is one of the first blooming plants of the spring. They're just so beautiful. It first starts off kind of like a stage like this. I love this patch because you can see the different stages of growth. This is where it's first coming up. And then this plant, if you can see the angle, I'll show you a peek of the blossom. It's getting a little bit further along. And then I'll cover it back up. And then, of course, the full bloom. And the thing that you'll notice is the flowers come up first, and then the leaves kind of wrap around. And as the leaves kind of unfurl, then you'll see that later. You won't see the blooming of a bloodroot for a long period of time, and the leaves are really noticeable. I can probably unfold this one so you can see what the leaf looks like. So that's kind of the shape of a leaf. And this plant is not a beginner plant. We definitely, it has a medicinal use. You use the root, and once we talk about this in depth, I will dig up a root and show you, but it's called bloodroot because the root is really, it's got a red blood color to it. And it is a more advanced herb. In fact, in level 3, we discuss this plant. Beautiful bloodroot. So this plant that you're looking at right now is called Virginia waterleaf, and it is not a medicinal, but it is an edible. And this is the early stages of it. When you look at Virginia waterleaf, you can kind of see as it gets a little further along in its growth, it almost looks as though it has like water spillage or droppage on it. And I use it as an edible, pick the tender leaves and add it to salads, and maybe, use it as you would lettuce. And it's a great time of year to start gathering this for your wild edibles. The next plants we're going to look at is wild leeks. And these are just barely coming out of the ground. You notice the green color is slightly brighter and more yellow green than the darker blue green. And what you would do, they're in the onion family, and you would, when they get bigger, you would want to harvest them as if you would little onion bulbs. And see, here's more. There's a new one coming out here and here and here, and then even right here. This is just coming out of the ground, so we're getting a little patch growing. I wouldn't harvest anything from a patch this small. I would wait for it to really establish itself and then think about harvesting. Here we have cleavers. So cleavers has it's a plant with the leaves that really are kind of small, coming out from one stem. It's a very fragile plant. It's, very soft. And as it grows, it has these little suction cup type things that are on the stems and the leaves where it sticks to you. Thus it's called cleavers. It cleaves. And this is a beautifully medicinal plant as well as a edible. It would need to get a bit bigger actually to pick it. It'll get quite large, maybe up to a foot in size, and has nice little white flowers along its side as well. So this is cleavers. Thanks for watching this little video of beginning plants in the spring season. It's a wonderful time to get out there on Earth Day and see what you can find. I'll be posting some more videos soon about the different stages of plants as we see them.